Dubai Business Setup 2026, the Iran conflict. I'm recording this on March 5th, 2026. Over the past several days, you've probably seen the headlines. Iranian strikes across the Gulf. Dubai airport closed. Smoke rising near the Burj Al Arab. If you've been considering Dubai for your business, what does this actually mean? Is Dubai still safe? Should you put your plans on hold? Is the whole thing over? I want to give you an honest assessment, not spin, not panic. My name is Zeba Majitia. I run FICO Capital Solutions here in Dubai. So in this video, I'm going to tell you what's actually happening, how Dubai is responding, and what this practically means if you're thinking about setting up a company here. Dubai is not a war zone. I need to say that clearly because social media is full of dramatic footage, speculation, and people who've never been here suddenly becoming experts on Gulf geopolitics. Yes, something significant is happening. Iranian strikes have hit targets across the Gulf, including the UAE. There has been damage, there have been casualties, thankfully few but real. But if you're watching from London or Sydney or Texas, wondering whether Dubai is finished, whether your plans for UAE company are now irrelevant, I want to give you my perspective. So in this video, I'm going to cut through the noise, explain what I'm actually seeing here, and help you understand what this means for your decision, whether that's starting a company, pursuing a golden visa, or simply waiting for clarity. I've been in Dubai for years. I've helped hundreds of founders set up here. I've seen the city navigate the 2020 pandemic, regional tensions with Qatar, the oil price collapse, and various moments where headlines made Dubai sound more dramatic than the reality on the ground. This is different. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. The strikes that began on Feb 28th were different in UAE. For the first time in modern era, Iranian missiles and drones targeted Dubai directly. Dubai International Airport was struck. The Burj Al Arab sustained. There were few damages because of the debris. The Jebel Ali port had a fire. People here are unsettled. That's the honest truth. But here's what I'm also seeing. A government that's responding with coordination and professionalism. A society that's adapting. And critically, a digital infrastructure that means business doesn't require physical presence. The trap right now is making permanent decision based on temporary situation. The cost of panic is abandoning plans that still make strategic sense just with adjusted timings. So what's actually happening? What most people get wrong is assuming the headlines tells the full story. Let me give you the facts as we know them. On February 28th, following US and Israeli strikes on Iran, Tehran retaliated across the Gulf Cooperation Council states. The UAE was heavily targeted. Reports indicated that 500 drones, 170 ballistic missiles were tracked by UAE defense in the first 48 hours. Here's the critical number. Over 90% were intercepted. The UAE's air defense system, largely US supplied, and the THAAD system performed. The damage that occurred was primarily from the debris from successful interception, not direct strikes. 3 people were killed, all were foreign nationals. A Pakistani, a Bangladeshi, and a person from Nepal. And all the deaths were from falling debris and not direct impact. 58 people were injured, mostly minor injuries from shattered glass and sharples. For context, 3 deaths in a metropolitan area of over 3 million people facing hundreds of incoming projectiles. This is tragedy for those families. It's also evidence that the defense infrastructure worked. What does daily life look right now? The government mandated remote work for most of the private sectors initially, but now it's business as usual. Everybody's back to work. Schools are closed. DIFC is operating half remotely and half at the location. Flights were suspended, but gradually they've resumed with limited operations. But now we have 48 flights going per hour. Stock markets closed for 2 days and reopened again. The UAE issued a joint statement with other Gulf states condemning the attack and reserving the rights to respond. But notably, the Gulf countries have so far chosen not to enter the conflict. Their presence appears to be de-acceleration and pressure on Washington for a resolution. So, if you're trying to understand the situation, here's my honest read. This is serious, unexpected for Dubai, and genuinely unsettling for people here. It is not, at least so far. The collapse of Dubai from a business hub point of view, definitely not. Now I know many of you watching are in the middle of making a decision. Maybe you were about to start a company formation process. Maybe you had flights booked. Maybe you're wondering whether to take a pause on everything right now. If you want to talk through the specific situation, what makes sense to continue, what makes sense to pause, how the timing might work, we are offering a discovery conversation for exactly this purpose. Link is in the description. This isn't a sales call, it's a chance to think through your options with someone who's here and seeing this unfold. Why digital first matters right now. What most people don't realize is how much of Dubai's business infrastructure works remotely. Here's why this matters. Over the past decade, Dubai invested heavily in digital government services, company formations, visa applications, tax registrations. All of this happens through online portals. When COVID hit in 2020, the UAE accelerated this further. The result? You don't need to be physically present to start a company. I've been processing applications from my home initially. This week, trade name reservations are going through, license applications are getting approved, free zones authorities, the government authorities, everything is working fine. It's all online. The part that requires physical presence is the visa trip for medicals and biometrics. That's not happening right now. If you don't want to come, flights are limited. I wouldn't recommend anyone try to come to Dubai this week. But here's the opportunity this creates. If you've been thinking about Dubai, the remote phase of company formation can happen now. You can start to form a company and get your license issued, get your establishment card, get your entry permit prepared, all while sitting at home. When flights normalize, and they will, the question is when, not if. You'll be ready to come for a short trip and complete the process less than 4 working days. The companies I'm forming this week will be operational before companies that wait for things to settle down, before even starting. So if you're evaluating timing, here's my practical advice. The admin work can continue. The physical trip could wait for stability. Don't pause the former because you're pausing the latter. What most people get wrong is thinking in binary terms. Dubai is either safe or unsafe, either viable or finished. Reality is more nuisance than that. Let me share some historical context. Beirut was once the financial capital of Middle East. Civil war destroyed that. Bahrain stepped in. Then Dubai rose. The Gulf states have spent decades positioning themselves as stable alternatives to conflict zones elsewhere in the region. Iran's strike this week have challenged the narrative for the first time. The oasis of stability. Reputation took a hit. That's real and shouldn't be minimized. But the strikes also reveal something important. The defense system works. The government responds professionally. Business continues. Digital infrastructure keeps functioning. When I talked to my clients this week, the question wasn't if Dubai finished. The question was, how long does the conflict last and what does the recovery look like? The honest answer, I don't know. Nobody does. The conflict is still active. Iran's strategy appears to be pressurizing Gulf states to push Washington towards de-acceleration. Whether that works, how long this continues, and what eventually resolution looks like, these are unknown. What I can tell you is Dubai's economic model is too important to the UAE to abandon. The government has every incentive to restore the normalcy as quickly as possible. The physical damage has been minimal relative to what it could have been. The loss of life has been tragically present but very limited. If you were planning to move to Dubai next month, that probably needs to shift. If you are planning to start a company and spend a few months over here per year, that plans may need some timing adjustment but remain strategically strong. So if you're making decisions right now, here's my framework. Don't make permanent changes to your strategy based on a temporary crisis. Do make tactical adjustments to your timing. Start the remote work now. Wait for stability before traveling. Reassess in 2 or 4 weeks as the situation develops. Look, I know the video is different from my usual content. This isn't about VAT thresholds or visa timelines. This is about navigating genuine uncertainty. If you want to talk through what this means for your specific plans, whether to start now or wait, adjust your approach, I'm here. Book a discovery call through the link in the description. We look at where you are in the process, what makes sense to do now versus later, and how to position yourself for when things stabilize. I'm not going to pressure you into anything. In uncertain times, the most valuable thing is clear thinking and honest guidance. Here's the bottom line. Something significant is happening in the Gulf. Dubai is not affected, but Dubai is also not finished. The city's digital infrastructure means business continues even when physical presence isn't possible. And the fundamental reasons international founders consider Dubai, the tax structure, the strategic location, the quality of life, those haven't changed. The question isn't whether Dubai makes sense, it's how to navigate the timing. I'll continue posting updates as the situation develops. If you want to stay informed, make sure you've subscribed. I'll share what I'm seeing on the ground, how it's affecting clients, and when things are returning back to normal. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? And what questions do you have about how this affects your plans? I'll do my best to address them in future videos or in the comments. Stay safe, stay thoughtful, don't make panic decisions. Thanks for watching. I'm Zeba Majita and I'll see you in the next one.